us for a Q&A. So if I could have Steve and Andy up, please.
Oh, Lord, how about right here?
Steve.
All right, so everybody knows Lorne, right?
Yeah.
So Lorne is one of the original. No, he's going to one of the original launch makers. We're all geeks here, but all the stuff that we love in Star Wars, the Falcon, the ships, the great stuff, the stuff we saw in the first movie, Lorne had his hands on it. He helped build it. You guys, if you have questions or anything, Andy and Adam, I mean, this is a living legend, guys. So, please.
So, Lorne, how about this real fast?
Okay.
Thank you again for coming.
Sure.
So tell us the truth about the escape pod, because we talked about it, and it was partially made from a fried chicken bucket.
It was actually a standard brand paint bucket.
A paint bucket.
Yeah, a 1 gallon paper paint bucket. Well, you have to understand that, sometimes when you look at the models, you think, well, we poured over them, we spent months and months doing this and that. Well, some models are only worth a very small amount of money. And the escape pod was one of those, because it was only going to be used in one shot. And so it was just a throwaway thing. I used to call them 1 week wonders. And so I knew from the script and everything that what was supposed to happen, but no description of it. So, or description but no sketch. And so I went to Joe Johnston, the art director, asked him what it was supposed to look like. He did a little sketch, and the way he did the sketch reminded me exactly of the angles of a paint bucket. Paint bucket at the bottom, and then a truncated paint bucket on the other end, and I filled it with foam. Took the paper off, covered that in plastic, made a mounting hole, and spent maybe a week and a half or something like making the pod.
That's pretty awesome.
So there you guys talking about tell them what we're talking about. It's awesome.
So we're talking about, this is the first shot you guys completed too, right? Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to add something too, because the fun stuff is kind of what we're here for. And that is that George Lucas was very disappointed when he came back from England, because we hadn't accomplished that many shots. And that's why we decided to do the pod drop. Because
hey guys in the back, sorry. Hey guys, just up in the back, kind of just lower just a little bit.
The people that want to hear can hear, and other people want to party. So anyway, we had set up, where we were working in Southern California to do that. It was so hot that summer. It was like 100 degrees, and then inside the building it was hot. So we set up a slip and slide made out of a old airplane escape chute that was in a surplus airplane right across the street. And yes, we would only do it at lunchtime to cool off, but it happened to be one of the times when the producers showed up in a limousine and coming in the parking lot, and they backed out of the parking lot and drove down the street, deciding not to do that. And it was part of our marching orders that had to really get something done really quickly. And so the pod was what we did to redeem ourselves.
You did. That's awesome.
But it wasn't like we were sloughing off. It just took a long time to build all the equipment.
You had a hot tub too.
It was a cold tub.
What about this experience that you had with Michael Jackson? I believe he made a visit to ILM with Bubbles. Is that what happened?
I remember, yeah, I know who that was. But I remember Michael Jackson visiting, and I don't remember any details about it. He went through, a little mask on, little odd character.
And he had Bubbles.
You have that story. I don't remember it being.
You probably talked to Ease too much on that one.
I've been talking to other people that were.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, when he was up at the ranch one time when I was there, he was there more than once. Most of the people weren't at the panel today, I don't think. Well, yes. And I do have some things to tell that are kind of illustrative of how the whole process works. A fun thing. And that was that You know the Death Star, the incomplete Death Star that everybody knows that's partially built. Well, originally there was a painting of that done, and as we sat in the screening room, George Lucas was a little bit disappointed on the painting because he couldn't go right or left very much. It ruins the image of it. It makes it look very flat. So he said to me, he said, well, couldn't we just make that as a model? The problem with it is the money people, and there are always money people, groaned at that because they set budgets and everything like that, and the producers didn't want to do that, so they say, let's keep on trying to get a better shot on the painting. It doesn't work. So another day, he says to me, would you work up some numbers, prices, what it'll cost to build a three-dimensional, incomplete Death Star? So I did. 1 or 2 days later, in the screening room, he says, well, how much do you think it's going to cost? And I happen to know that he had bought a Dino Ferrari a couple of weeks earlier that arrived on a truck. And I knew how much he paid for it. And it needed some work, but it was a Ferrari. But it wasn't like a $100,000 Ferrari. It was a 5-digit Ferrari. And at that time. So he says, well, how much will it cost? And I said, it'll cost about the same amount of the Ferrari that you bought. And so the producers didn't know what in the world we were talking about. And he says, is that all it's going to cost? Let's do it. And it's done. You know, and he walks out of the building. And the footsteps behind me as I headed back to where I am were the producers, were the money people wanting to know, well, what in the world were you talking about? But it was already a done deal by that time. It's just kind of it just reminds me, sometimes you have to be kind of tricky. And that was a tricky,
I never heard that story.
a tricky money
Great
story.
story. Do we have any questions? Anybody? Yes, sir.
So I'm fascinated with all the signatures you guys did on the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
When you guys were signing the Falcon, did you have any idea that people would actually want your signature? And were you thinking about the whole autograph world? Because now we all want your autograph. Was that something that even entered your mind?
We certainly weren't thinking of that. And there was only about maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7 people who signed it. Because not that many people worked on it, on the Millennium Falcon. And we were not thinking down the road. I mean, Star Wars was going to be a big deal. We were very hopeful and very optimistic that it was going to be a big deal. But a big deal at that time, if it took $11 million to make the film, and you made 50 million, 80 million, that would be like super success at that time. That would be a really hot deal. So Star Wars went to 100 million to 200 million in a very short period of time. So it was a phenomenon from some other universe as far as the studios are concerned. And because originally we were just making one film. You know, and I went on to do Galactica after that because we rented the equipment back from George Lucas and did Galactica. And then I got a call, or actually a guy upstairs, Richard Edlund, got a call, and he comes downstairs and he says, Lorne, there's somebody on the telephone that wants to talk to you. And I said, well, why didn't he come down here and talk? I mean, why didn't he phone me down here? He said, just go upstairs, somebody wants to talk to you. And it was like, you know. But anyway, I did go upstairs, and it was George Lucas and Gary Kurtz saying that they wanted me and 6 other people to move north to start overdoing Empire Strikes Back. But it was very interesting. It's like, well, why did he do that? And in a way, it's like if you hand build a Ferrari and you take it to some other place, another country, and you expect mechanics to take care of it when it's all been handmade, they have a really long learning cycle to figure it out. But if you hire one guy that knows all about the glove compartment, and you hire one guy that knows all about the electrical system, and one guy that knows all about the mounting of the tires, you have the answer to how to do it, and they can hire other people. So that's what had happened. Anyway, I don't think that much of my own signature anyway, so when I met these guys, it was kind of a surprise to me that somebody would,
We're like, well, why is it Steve Braddock?
Yeah, I'm not Clint Eastwood, or I'm not,
Academy Award winners.
yeah, but still, it was a bit of an odd thing for me to come around to, and I never until this guy came along, I never thought anybody would pay me for it.
Here's a question: have you had any like random people on the street just bug you to sign autographs?
Right here?
Like that guy right there, Pat, right there. When you come to Chicago.
Well, Andy and his friends here used
Right here,
to
Jim. Stella?
used to hang out when we went for voting for the Academy Award.
Yes.
And Rainer, it was in the evening, it would many times be raining, and these guys were pieces of plastic over the signing and
Sometimes.
all that kind of stuff.
We weren't that bad. We actually let you guys do your thing.
no.
But you actually signed as you were walking. Remember, from the restaurant
Yeah.
to the theater. Remember they had that little party, and then you guys would walk, and we would follow you guys, and you would sign as you were.
Right. So anyway, it does seem odd to me because I think am I a minor celebrity? I'm really low down the minor.
No, you're not low.
level.
You're not lower than me, but you're in that range.
I want passes for a celebrity in a Star Wars
In the
crowd.
Star Wars universe, but not in the Pawn Stars crowd. But
Cuban Pete, what do you have?
Yes.
no, you're in trigger.
With how big Star Wars is now, you know, how gargantuan it's become, when you first worked on the film, did you ever think it would get to this point? You know, your work and everything you've done, did you ever think it would become this big?
Yeah, did I ever think that it would become this really huge? Just similar to what I told him, huge was a different definition. You know, it's like 5 billion was huge if you invest 1.11 million. You know? There were a few of us that I had a friend, a partner, that we had a small company, and we started graphing out what happened to the stock market when Jaws came out. Because it was both it and South Fox were independently owned at the time. So we said, okay, here's month December this and that, and here's what happened to the stock, and here's it went to 4, and then then Jaws came out, and whoa, this can have a really big impact on everything. So, just to be totally honest about it, at that time, my friend John had saved from all of our efforts about $11,000, and I'd saved about $11,000 or $12,000. So we were 29 and 30 years old. We said, if you lose the money, we're young, we can always earn some more. So we said, just put all the money that we earned during Star Wars on it, and it quadrupled, and then it doubled, and so it was eventually enough money almost to buy a $70,000 house or something like that. So I really lucked out in that manner. I don't know. I've spent a number of times what happened in the Vietnam War, because I didn't go. I graphed everything out, and I planned, what month was happening here, and when I'm 26, and that kind of thing, and figured out how to do it. So graph paper was my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What was the most difficult or challenging model you had to create for the movie?
Like you said, what was the most difficult or challenging model I ever worked on? It almost doesn't happen that way. Fear of any kind of failure just drives you on, and you do it more and more years. Failure is just unimaginable. So, and then you're surrounded by people that are super creative and think. There's chemists at work, there's people who are optical engineers, there's people that had a background in architecture, engineering, all that stuff. So, if you hold back and don't come up with answers, you'll be kind of left in the dirt, in the dust, And so there's a lot of pressure. And it's not even pressure, it's good positive pressure, But I used to, it seems a little bit odd, but I remember one of the employees, was kind of disappointed. What wasn't happening for him wasn't, various things had happened wrong. And I said, in a really creative environment, everybody has a dagger somewhere. And, if you don't think that that's true, you're a little bit too naive, but every once in a while, in an environment, not just a creative environment, but any kind of environment like that, the daggers can come out, and not often, but they do.
Joe, what do you got, Joe?
Hi, you mentioned that you have experts, like the Ferrari, somebody builds this, somebody builds that. So
Yeah.
You have 5 different people working on one thing. The way things are now, there's not one person who's doing this. Do you feel the quality is suffered, or is that just the nature of the quality?
As I understand it, for us, 5 or 6 people would work on one shift, and sometimes only 2 or 3 with a smaller shift. And nowadays with the CG, I think that you can have it segmented so small sections that dozens of people could potentially put little bits and pieces, and sometimes they're not even in the same city. So since I never made the jump to CG, computer graphics, I just wasn't that super interested in it. I really always needed to do something with my hands, and in some ways you think, well, if I did that my whole working life, why would I abandon the thing that I do the absolute best for something I do poorly, and have to work my way up the scale? But there were younger model makers who made the transition to CG just like that.
And I think Paul Houston's one of them, right? Paul Houston?
Well, yes, Paul Houston did. To matte painting and then on the computers. But it was usually the younger people, and that Paul's not necessarily a younger person. But the advantage they have, this is an interesting thing about working too, is that originally for computers, they hired people from MIT to write code and things like that. And they kept hiring more people from institutions, not Harvard, but I remember MIT, we had a couple of computer people from MIT. And eventually they had them, let's bridge off into creative things. And they found that it was better to take a creative person and teach them what aspect of computers they needed to know than to take a programmer and ask them to get creative. And that's the way it worked out. A lot of the people at ILM, you can go around to the computer desk and you can see the drawings on the wall that they've done themselves, for their own interest. And you think, ooh, they're substantially creative too. Which is not to say, as I got older, I had friends who were lawyers, and I said, talking to them, they do things that are creative too. It's just not anything that an area that I touched. I didn't really think it was creative when I was 25 years old.
Much better person. So here's a question for you, a personal question. Have you seen The Last Jedi?
Well, I lost track of titles after Sith.
It's easy to kind of lose.
Yeah, they come out so fast, and I didn't work on them. I know viscerally.
It's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I know it in my bones of what the first 6 were like, all the Indiana Jones and Boulder guys, E.T. and Star Trek and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Tell me, who was the big deal?
People said that this series would have been ruined by Ryan Johnson. They didn't like it. Most people didn't like his storytelling.
Is it the one with the red sand?
Yes.
I thought.
So I'm guessing you have seen it.
Yeah, when the ships are going across the ground and it tears up the. I thought, why in the world did they do that? It's so. It wasn't even the color of iron oxide. If it was the color of iron oxide, you'd say, yeah, there are planets that are iron oxide dust. But you don't, with the cranberry planet, there is no cranberry planet. Oh, thanks.
Ruined by Ryan Johnson. Questions? Any more? Let's go with him first and then you.
So Lorne, if I'm correct, I remember you went on the prequels, the prequel films, and I'm kind of interested, kind of going off the last question a bit, you're telling some digital versus practical effects, and how they kind of come off the screen to the audience.
So it's really versus like digital and practical.
You know what it is it's really marketing that produced that. If you think of the first Star Wars, it was models. So the publicity people go models, 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 models. It's talked about in the news and all stuff. So along comes Empire. It's stop motion, stop motion, stop motion. It doesn't mean there aren't models. Then when you get to Jedi, it's creature, creature, creature. There's still stop motion. There's still models. But it's they have to. If you provide too many elements to try to publicize something, you don't hit the nail on the head. So I realized that even when CG came along, they have to say CG, CG, sell, sell, sell. And yet there were 6 model makers on Star Wars. There were 102 model makers on Sith. So you can see in a year and a half, 102 model makers can do a lot more work than 6 can. And so there was plenty of models on the prequels, that's for sure. I hope that answered the question. I was a little, I lost quite a bit of my hearing, so I was vague on I'm depending on these two, my hearing buddies. Thank you.
Yes, did you ever have any problems getting inspired to do a model? And if so, what would you do to kind of help?
Inspiration.
Yeah, you asked, did you ever have any problems having inspiration? And not really. Because there's a certain danger to doing something. And I say danger, here's an illustration. Somebody asked me, because I'm 74, and I was 29 or so when we started. And he said, well, with all the really young people, because you hire people 10 years younger, and then 20 years younger, and then 30 years younger. So I was around a lot of younger people. And he says, well, are they all respectful of, your age and your experience? And I say, yeah, they are really respectful. But if I'm rushing to the forefront with my sword and I fall to one knee, they're going to come and help me, elbow up and I'm on my feet again, heading to the front of the battle with my sword. If I fell to both knees and dropped the sword, somebody of those young people would pick up the sword, run and forget about me in the dust. So I'm not sure that's the best illustration for everybody, but for me, it's like if you don't, somebody's going to do it for you. Or,
Then go ahead and take your job.
Yeah, it won't be your job anymore. So,
hey guys, Lawrence, has a little hearing loss, so
we're going okay, and the people in the back, they need to do what they need to do.
Next question.
Can you speak to the differences, or what it was like making the transition from going from Star Wars to Indiana Jones, and how?
Well,
I just learned his nickname is Pubes.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to know how he got the nickname?
You know how he?
No, I'm not going to tell you. I mean, come on.
Okay, he sent me a photo and he actually taped one of his pubes onto the.
Right there, folks. Classic people.
I'll forget that.
I like the autographs. It's a great idea.
But I won't forget the question. I did forget about that. So.
Shit, thank you.
And the question was the transition between, say, Empire and Indiana Jones, Raiders Lost Ark. Well, here's what had happened is all of a sudden in Hollywood, they were realizing that, my God, any film that was done at Lucasfilm is going to make $200 million. And it's like we became the goose that lays the golden egg. So all of a sudden, everybody started wanting to do their special effects on a special effects type of film. And George has said, any friends of mine we can't ever turn down. We're never supposed to turn down Spielberg, we're never supposed to, Matthew Robbins, and various friends of his. And no matter how busy we were, which just meant more hours, really, and hiring, we did hire more people, but mainly it meant new hours. But when Raiders came along, it was like really a breath of fresh air because it doesn't have that much effects in it. It's a simpler movie than the Star Wars movies. It's mainly live action, and we did submarines and burning Nazis and those kind of things. But a lot of projects are fun. I used to tell people if you're not having fun, just wait a week. You'll be doing something else that will be fun. Wouldn't it be fun to take dolls like Indiana? No, it was a Han Solo doll put him in Nazi outfits, put kerosene on him, light him up, and have 5 or 6 people throw him into the air, and that's the burning of the Nazis going to heaven, you know. So it's those kind of things happen all the time. Of somebody asking you, you know, we need to make snowdrifts tomorrow morning. Do you think we can come up with something that we need a pallet of snowdrifts for the day after tomorrow or something like that? You know, so that involves an air hose, black velvet, and baking soda. You know, making snowdrifts, stuff like that.
Next question.